Hi, everyone. Welcome to Breaking Through Your Brick Walls. This is an interview series where you get to meet successful business owners, receive a glimpse of life behind the scenes with them, and then you're given some gold nuggets or sage advice from that fellow business owner. So this is where we're really hanging out to be authentic and share a piece of real life with you. And today I am talking with Susie Liberatore, and Susie's the owner and art director of Visions to Images. She has over 10 years of experience in an agency, and her goal with her own creative company is to help people generate new clients with her strategic processes. So she helps businesses not waste time or money and provides the highest quality design and service to all her clients. And my name is Pamela Lewerenz. I am the Brick Wall Coach, and I am a business consultant that works with overwhelmed, stressed out, and discouraged solopreneurs to create actionable plans for their success. And I work with them to stay focused on all the things that there are to do with running a business. So I'm so excited to talk with Susie today, and she's going to share all about her business and give us some insight into her life. So welcome, Susie.
Hi, Pamela. Thank you so much for that introduction. Very kind of you. I appreciate it.
Well, as I gathered my thoughts about what we were going to talk about today, I tried to, we've known each other for what, like three
Here.
plus years?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm trying to pinpoint, I don't remember how we originally connected. Isn't that funny?
It is.
I know.
It's been, yeah, it was definitely in a Facebook group, if I recall. And then I
Yeah.
joined your group and then just kept chatting and interacting somehow.
Yeah. So just all that stuff popped into my head as I was preparing for this. And I'm like, yeah, I have known Susie now for over 3 years.
I think back to that. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come a
Yeah.
long ways.
For sure. For sure. So why don't you just start out with telling us, a little bit about yourself, really that personal side, the face behind your business.
Yeah. So I don't know how personal you want me to get or whatnot, but basically I have an autistic son, and I just feel like that kind of was the driving force for me to kind of go into the business end of things so I can work around his schedule and my schedule in that sense. I've always had a creativity, artistic feel to whatever I did. I was a dancer for many years, taught dance, and I created their programs, and then I started to get into photography. I just loved the art end of things, and I loved being able to see things come to life, and I was very abstract. A lot of my teachers actually told me that they didn't understand things. I was like, well, it's abstract. And so I felt like that was who I was and who I defined myself as, because I couldn't do the normal art stuff in a sense, but people could see the vision behind it.
Right.
So I've always kind of I have a bachelor's in fine arts, which helped me get to where I am with my design end of things. I wanted to go to school for preschool teaching and stuff, but I threw that out the window because I was like, that's not me. Like, I'm not going to force myself to do something that's not me. So I really enjoyed always kind of seeing art, doing art and all of that and implementing it.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. So what kind of dance did you do?
So I did ballet, tap, hip hop, and point. So like all sorts of different stuff. Um, it was like, I don't even know like which one was my favorite. I always changed every day because there was just so much greatness to each one.
Yeah. Well, my oldest granddaughter does dance, and she usually chooses like two or three every year to do.
Yeah.
But every year I've noticed hip hop is in there because I think that's her love.
It's
Although
fun.
I would like the tap dancing piece of it, but
Yeah. Each one's fun. Like I used to like ballet, and I was like, like I like the more upbeat, fast stuff, I think.
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
tap and the hip hop for sure. Yeah.
yeah. And I think you also hit the nail on the head when you mentioned that you can't force yourself to
Mhm.
do something just because you think it's the right way or people around you are saying, hey, that's the path you should be on. You have to feel comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your transition from really that employee stage to becoming a business owner?
Yeah, when I came out of college, I was in the agency field, but I was like a subcontractor in a sense and a freelancer and stuff, but I still had to pay the taxes and all that. So it wasn't technically employee. But then as I moved to Ohio, I did the employee stuff and it was just horrible in my experience. And people might disagree, but in my experience, it was horrible in a sense that there was just like no creativity behind it. It was so dry and boring and cut and it just wasn't for me. And I saw the potential that everybody could have, including that corporation, that they needed. And I said, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to just come into work and do the 9 to 5 and not have any creativity and not have what my full potential is. And at that time, my son was going through a lot. He was getting diagnosed with autism and asthma and everything. So my work schedule just couldn't fit. And we both, the employee and I just agreed, we're like, this isn't a good fit for us. So we parted ways and I was just like, I'm going to focus on Antonio. And then eventually I was like, you know what, that agency, when I was a freelancer, I learned so much. Like, let's implement everything and go forward with the business. Yeah. And I started, of course, when you first start off with a business, you're like, I'll do this and this and this. And you're just taking money and taking stuff because you don't know what you want, but you know you got to do it. Yeah. And eventually you learned along each, I'm still learning to this day, but you learn along the way of, okay, what's selling, what's not selling, what am I good at? What do I need to increase the price and da, 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 da. And eventually it started to be very good for me and fine tuning all of that stuff that was able to kind of have that full-time business transaction.
Yep. So it's definitely not something that, okay, today I'm opening a business, tomorrow I'm super successful. It's definitely that process. And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, that they've got this vision and they just want it to happen within like a week's time. And I think, as you talked about that, it's really a gradual procession of, okay, first this happens. Mm-hmm. You got to make money because you got to keep your business going. And then you kind of fine tune it as you go along. Right. And as you learn things, as you connect with other people, all those things, I think, play a big role in it.
For sure. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So your agency, why don't you explain to us, what that role of branding, how that plays out in people's businesses, why that's an important piece to have in place, what the advantages are. I hear from a lot of people, it seems to be like 50-50. Some people will say branding is one of the first things you do. And other people are like, branding can come on in to play down the road. So just like your take on all of that too.
It honestly depends. I mean, when you first start off, everything is very, very tight. You don't understand the branding end of things and you just want to bring in that money and that revenue. A lot of times, like, I've kind of niched away from people who are just starting off because they're not at that place in that mind. When they start to know who their audience is and who they want to reach and how they can even reach them, that's important. And that's when branding kind of really comes into play, is when they're established a couple years or something and they're not as rocky and they know they can make it, because everybody seems to be jumping on board to be a business owner these days. And I'm not saying they can fail and stuff, but when you really have that income and that potential and all of that going, that's when branding is so important, because people are starting to recognize you and they're starting to have that brand awareness, and now is the time to really go full force into letting people know that you're consistent and you're cohesive, because that's where the advantages are. If you're consistent and cohesive and have that image and have the same content, the same voice, the same authenticity all over the place, that's when it's really important, and that's when it's going to bring you in more revenue. And what I always tell people is just think of the big names. Yeah, you might not be as big as them, but think of the big brand names when you go into these stores and how you feel, how things look, how everything is just clean and cohesive, and they come up with everything. And that's really the advantage of it. That's why they're making money and they're doing so well, because they have that all into play.
Right. I mean, you'll see their logo and without even looking at a name exactly who they are.
Yeah. I used to think in college where they were like tell me how many logos you see a day. And it was very interesting because you don't realize how many you see every day, whether it's
Yeah.
driving or whatever, like they're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. So, I mean, part of branding is that logo, but there's other parts of it too, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would, you know, I'm just thinking as you were saying that, that definitely is so true. I think especially for people that are just starting out, you don't maybe want to do your branding right away until you figure out exactly what you're going to do, who your audience is going to be, trying to niche down on that. But once you have those things figured out, the branding is an excellent investment because it's going to give you all those things, not just a logo, but you can
Right.
explain to them all the things that they get along with that. And as a side note, I'm just letting everybody know, Susie did the branding for me, and I could not have been happier with everything she came up with. We worked together. She really dove into knowing my business, getting to know me and my business. And then together we kind of talked about things, and she came up with exactly what I had envisioned, which of course I would never have been able to do without you because I just don't have that. That's not one of my cups of tea.
Yeah.
But yeah, you did a great job with mine, and I can't be happier.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And a lot of times people say, they couldn't have come up with it or whatever. And you're not supposed to. I don't
Yeah,
come up with my bookkeeping and all of that. Like
yeah,
I can't do that
exactly.
stuff. So you need to be able to know that people can do that and they're the trained experts and
Yeah,
professionals. So yeah, thank you for that.
yeah, yeah. So besides the logo, what are some other pieces of like brand recognition?
Messaging, being able to really have a strategy in place for your branding. I mean, this has all evolved since we've last done our
Yeah,
branding with you, but being able to have the strategy, have the colors, the fonts, the icons, the patterns, the templates if they choose to go forward with somebody else, just having even the wording and whatnot to kind of have or coming up with campaigns that fit your audience and fit your branding. So there's just a lot to it. That's all, you can squish it all into one. And then even their website, their social media, uh, figuring out which social media platform they even need to be on, because a lot of times everybody wants to be on every one,
yeah.
and branding can help find which ones you need to really be on and help have all of that.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the other things that happens when you're brand new in space. You're trying out these different platforms to see what you feel comfortable with and where you're finding most of your leads or your clients are coming from. So you don't even know that in the beginning,
Right. You
kind
don't.
of what that fit is going to be.
For sure.
So why don't you share with us maybe a particular struggle or struggles that you've experienced as you've grown your business, different hurdles you've had to cross over?
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's so many.
We all say that, don't
I
we?
Yeah, we do. And I think I mean, I don't know which one would be good, but I mean, I feel like there's a lot of everything I just talked about, finding my
Yeah,
audience. Like finding my audience was probably the biggest hurdle because I didn't want to just take money anymore just to take the money. I wanted to be strategic and help businesses grow and have their full potential. And I eventually had to up my prices even more and turn away people. And it was a big hurdle, but at the same time, it was a mindset I had to get into. I don't want to just take somebody just to take them and have them have a logo. Like there's so much more to the logo. There's so much more to everything that I offer. And I didn't want to have that. Obviously time management's a big hurdle and struggle. I've been able to be pretty good about it, and I set timers now, and
yeah,
I know when I can do things and know when I'm overwhelmed and juggling everything. So just being able to really have those two things in place, the time management and knowing your audience, were two huge things for me to kind of go even further than what I needed to do.
yep, yep, definitely. And mindset, like you said, mindset comes into play really in all those areas. When you start looking at everything, it goes back to the mindset.
Yeah, I could totally agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, it's safe to say now you've been in business how long for yourself?
officially like 2.5 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I was going to say, so I've been doing this now. I'm going on my fifth year will start in October of this year. And I still do the mindset games.
No, and you have to keep
Yeah.
doing it. There's days where it's just, you need to overcome them.
Yeah, there's days or there's stretches of time and you just, you have to be able to take the focus off of everything else and work on the mindset piece and let it fall back into place. I think that's important.
For sure.
So tell us or share with us about your ideal client. Who is that person?
So an ideal client is somebody who's been in business for about 2 to 3 years, either has a location or has a team of people in a sense that they're able to know and understand the value behind a business and their profits, who is able to really invest. Typically, probably about 35 and upward is about ideal. Anyone below that is still starting off and is not an ideal client for me. And it could be male or female. I'm not subject, but typically most of the time it's women. But sometimes I do get some males. And having a location or a team of people is really huge just because they want to be involved and interact. And yeah, that's my ideal client.
Good, good, excellent. So what would you say your favorite part of really owning your own business and working with clients is?
The full creativity. If you ask anybody, they feel like, oh, it's the time I get to spend with my kids and do whatever, but it's not. It's more than that. Like, it's the creativity. Like, when I was in the corporate world, it was so cut and dry and boring, and I get different clients each and every day. I mean, I work with therapists, I work with a massage company, like I work with all sorts of different people. So being able to really come into play and see their visions come to life and have the full creativity for each different client. Each different client is so different. Like, they're
Right.
all different. They all want different things. They all need different things. They all have different audiences. And even when I was in the agency world, we worked with healthcare and dental people specifically. And it was still, even with the dental people, we were still able to have the creativity and control because each one was different. Whereas when I was in the corporate, it was just one company, cut, dry, boring. And I like the diversity of having each different company.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's often what happens. You kind of get stuck in that rut when you're working for someone else because it's the same people. It's the same thing day after day. And like you said, you can't use that creative part of you. You might have wanted to do something differently, but that's not the way the company norm was. So I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what piece of advice do you want to pass along to our listeners?
There's just no good time to start. You just have to start and you have to set those goals.
Yeah, start from where you are.
You just have to start and do it and if you're second guessing and you're having that mind shift game, like if you're doubting yourself and everything, don't, like, just do it. Just go and do it and make plans. I mean, everybody wants to do something, even if you don't want to own a business, I guess. If you're working in corporate or whatnot, just do what you want to do. Just get out there, do it, make yourself happy.
Yeah,
There's no way of knowing what it could have been if you don't do it.
right, right. Following your passion, making sure you're happy. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. So where is the best place for everybody to find you? Other than your website, which
I
I'm
was
going
gonna
to
say
list
my
all this out.
website.
That's where I always am like, on the website, but like in social media, what are your favorite platforms?
Probably Facebook and LinkedIn are my two favorites right now. I do a little bit on Instagram, but I'm definitely not on Pinterest, and Twitter, just kind of whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can find that on the website, the links to those.
Yep. And I'm going to put the links after the, I
Okay.
never do it before I set it up, but I'll go back in and I will make sure I put those in there for everybody.
Okay, perfect.
So is there anything else you wanted to share, with the listeners, like a new program, a way of working with you, anything else?
A new way, I mean, the way of working with me, there's been a lot of changes in the past year. I have a program now where it's like client onboarding and stuff like that. So they're able to have, when they do the branding and the website and stuff, there's questionnaires coming through, there's calls, setting up the calls, then there's the proofing and then the calls. So there's like a whole strategic process that goes on when anybody works with me or has questions or whatever. So being able to, and this might be something to pass along to the listeners as well, is you have to have some type of structure in place and some type of way and process and stuff. So this process has helped me, helped my clients, helped everybody. Like, it's just so much smoother. We have it all documented, and it's Dubsado. I mean, if you don't know Dubsado, and you can sign the contract and you can sign everything and do everything right in there. And it's just so much easier, especially with the creative thing.
Yeah.
I can just plug in the proposal and the contracts because it's all in there and in place. But a new program, I don't really know if I have a new program right now. I'm working on a lot of stuff in the back time, but none of it.
Summer is a great place to do that, isn't it?
I feel like I'm just on vacation mode all summer, so no.
Yeah. Believe me, I'm kind of feeling that way myself these days.
Yeah. But I mean, just being able to have like a strategy call in a session is huge for people, just being able to really pick at their brains, and even if they want to implement it themselves, we can totally do that. I've done that with a couple of people as well. So just knowing your options of what you want to do and how to do it is huge.
Good. Okay. So I will put all those links into that stuff so they can find you. And thank you so much, Susie, for joining us, because you gave tons of gold nuggets in there. And I always enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I could be able to help and share, and I will share this to my audience and everything as well. I'm super pumped.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone who joined us for, this 11th episode of Breaking Through Your Brick Walls. And remember, every day is a good day to be you. You're amazing. Don't forget it. Now you go out and rock your business. Thanks so much again, Susie.
Yeah, thank you. Talk to you later.